Welcome to Megapath Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 5. Now, before we go into this real quick, do not go into the comment box. Everyone is telling me that HBO released they snitched themselves out. They released or hacked themselves. I don't know how they did it, but Episode 6 is out there. I'm not going to look for it, but if you haven't seen it yet, someone's going to spoil it down in the comment box. So don't even go down there. Go down there, leave your comment, but don't go rooting around because somebody will eventually spoil it for you. So with that said, let's dive into this with a problem. The very beginning was very different or very odd compared to the beginning of to the end of the previous episode. Now, this is most likely because there's different directors for each episode, but The Walking Dead is another TV show we watch a lot, and this is something that they did. This is something that I've seen a lot of other TV shows do, where they'll end one episode one way, and they'll pick it up kind of different, which for continuity it doesn't make any sense. With The Walking Dead, they were walking out into a herd of walkers or zombies, and one of the kids was like, "Mom, Mom," and it was all, there was so much tension, and it was awesome. I'm like, oh, the kid's gonna get everyone fucking eaten, and then the next episode it was like it never happened. No one talked about it, no one mentioned it. The zombies weren't a threat, they were just kind of chilling, walking right through. So this isn't the first show to do some shit like this, and it's not going to be the last. And I think it has to do with the different directors, So and they probably don't even see it. I'm sure they see the dailies and shit. They probably say, "Oh, this is how we ended it," but chances are they probably just got told, "Oh, he got knocked off a horse, and there's a cliff there," or at least there had to have been a cliff there. A lot of fans I see are talking about, well, it was a beach, but then he got knocked into the deep end of the water, and then some other fans are like, it's a cliff. There's dragons and magic. If it's a cliff, I don't give a fuck. I'm not nitpicking at it. But when it comes to them, ending so far away from where the battle was, they had to have been bobbing, catching breath every now and then because they would have just drowned. First off, Bronn looked like he got knocked out last episode. He was kind of going off to the side. So, yeah, the beginning of this episode was a little bit odd. I was like, oh, what? That's how you're going to play it? Okay, whatever. But moving on, we have Tyrion walking through the aftermath. Loved it. Everything's in ashes and destroyed, and they are picking their spoils of war with the different weapons and armor and whatever's left that's not burnt to shit. Really cool scene. Next up, we have the death sentence, which is cool too, and that's Sam's father and his brother. And that was something where when I was watching it, I thought Tyrion would actually talk her out of doing this. I thought he would come up with something and whoop-de-whoop. But, then when she carried out the sentence, I thought, it is what it is. You're not going to get these people to bend the knee just by coming out and saying, listen, I want to defeat Cersei, join me, whatever. Because the one guy, he's right. They are savages in their eyes, and she's not from Westeros. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you got to do what you got to do. And at this point in time, I don't hold it against Dany for that. Fuck it. You got to get him in line, you get him in line. Next up, we got Jaime and Cersei, and this is the Joffrey reveal. I like this. It was if she got so angry. This is probably not what it was, but when I first watched it, I was like, man, she got so pissed. She had to sit down. She couldn't stand anymore. She was like, what? I wanted her to suffer. So a lot of people are telling me she's faking the pregnancy. I don't know if I buy that. Now, a lot of rumors and stuff come up, and I'm like, oh, man, that sounds cool, whoop-de-whoop. But the moment I heard she could be faking the pregnancy, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know why she would fake it to Jaime. She doesn't need to, trick him or deceive him into not something like that. I don't get it. Plus, there was a moment where her hand said, I could get something for that. And I thought, when I watched it, that meant he could get like the Game of Thrones version of the morning after pill, an elixir to, give her an abortion, some shit like that. So I don't know how I feel about that. I don't buy that. I'll tell you right now, I don't buy that. I don't think she needs to say anything to, I don't know. I don't buy it. No, I just don't buy it. You guys let me know what you think. Is she pregnant or is she lying? I think she's pregnant, Next up, now is she going to have it? she's probably going to die before she has it, something. Next up, we get the dragon and Jon. This was an awesome scene. And I love the way they did it where Dany was, I don't want to say unsure because she has that link with the dragon, but there was a little bit of uncertainty there in the way they filmed it where the dragon's body kind of moves with him breathing, or he sways or just shifts his body, and it reveals that Jon is petting the dragon, and she was just like, the moist meter went through the roof, you know. So I like that moment, Joe, just between Jon and the dragon. I thought that alone was really cool. Next up, we got Jon and Dany talking about the heart, and I'm hoping that comes up not in a scene where they're getting it on, but maybe a scene where he gets wounded and he reveals it, or something. Wait, either getting wounded or going into battle, changing in and out of armor. I mean, something that has to do with fighting, and not so much, because I just feel like that would take away with if they go into a love scene, and I don't think it fits that moment. I don't know. There's something about it. I feel like it needs to be a battle moment for the Scar reveal. But they were interrupted with Jorah, his reunion, and I thought this was great on so many levels. First off, the Terminator movie left such a sour taste in my mouth for the actress that plays Dany. I thought that movie was just so horrible. The dialogue, the acting, I mean, all around. Sometimes when Dany is purposefully wooden because of who she is speaking to, she has to be this, you know, queen, relax on showing certain emotions because you don't want to, you need a poker face, let's just say, to keep it simple. So sometimes I've been seeing those scenes and then thinking of the Terminator Genesis and just being like, I don't know if she has what it takes, you know, to pull off some fantastic subtle moments. But with Jorah's reunion, there was just something in that performance that I thought was just fan-frickin-tastic. I think some of the best I've seen from this actress the entire series. Now, given because of Terminator, I could have a bias and be like, oh man, an actress. But I don't know, there was something special there. And I also think that Jon seeing it means something too. Like, that's an important thing, because this is a warrior where when you first hear about her, oh, she's dragons, she's, you know, she has this, you know, gang of savages or whatever, the Unsullied. When you hear about her, it doesn't sound too pleasing. But then when you meet her and you realize that there's a person that used to be a slave, you know, is now on her council, you know, her right-hand girl, someone she trusts absolutely, and she wasn't freed as a slave to now be a slave for Dany. You know, she's with Dany because she believes in Dany. And then you had that moment in the previous episode, and now in this moment you have this soldier coming up, and there's this heartfelt reunion there. You would not get that with a leader like Cersei. So I think that was awesome that Jon saw that, or at least that's what I got from that scene. Next we got Bran warging out with the Ravens. That was real cool. A couple of my friends keep telling me that some bullshit with Bran looking like the Night King. Is that what he's called? The Ice King or Night King? Some shit like that. But ever since they said that, I can't get that out of my head. I don't think that is a theory, even if that was mine. I don't know. I don't know how that even figures out into the story. You know, I know that's just, I'm not up to that level yet in Game of Thrones insanity, but I see it, you know, like not the story playing out, but the look. He looks like the Night King, and I think that, I'm hoping that's just coincidence, because that'll just confuse me way too much. Speaking about confusing, we get Sam and the Archmaester. The Archmaester is talking about Bran's vision, and he's sending out warnings, and they talk about Euron Greyjoy, and not Euron Greyjoy, but they talk about the Drowned God, and when Euron first showed up in whatever the end of that season, a lot of people said that he's the Drowned God in the book, and this is where it confuses me a little bit, because the person they said he's supposed to conquer is a name that I just assumed was a person that's already dead. So I'm a little bit confused on all that. I don't know if that's, you know, paying homage to the book. If it's paying homage to the book, I couldn't care less. I don't care. You know, as long as it doesn't confuse me on the show. You know, if it's book stuff, I'll get to it when I read the book. At this point in time, it's not going to do me any good for the show. So if it's something that has to do with the show, I'm going to have to get involved and figure that shit out. But there's another confusing part coming up. But let's talk about the smuggling. This was a part I thought was unrealistic, and I didn't know why they were going this route. I like seeing Jaime and Tyrion together again. I thought that was great. I still wanted to see Jaime's response to hearing about the Army of the Dead, but I liked having them two on screen together. Wanted a little bit more. Thought it was kind of weird and odd that they went in that direction, having him smuggled into King's Landing, especially how. Like, this is King's Landing. I mean, you are fighting off in a foreign invader at this point in time. Like, you're in the middle of a war that you're losing, and these people just stroll up on this little boat. What if it wasn't this little boat? Obviously, if it's a huge one, you're seeing it coming. If it's like a whole a fleet of ships, okay, maybe you're seeing that coming. I don't know how I feel about this scene. I didn't like it. I like the little scenes together, but I don't like the smuggling into. I don't know. I feel like it's dumb, you know? But that's besides the point. At the end of the episode, the showrunners were talking about getting that Gentry, is that his name? Getting that guy back into the show, and this was probably the way to do it without being the most forced way to do it, you know, or the more organic way. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like this only exists to put those two on screen together and then get this Gentry guy. And this Gentry, whatever his name is, this confuses me a little bit more, because I'll be honest with you, as a show watcher, only watching the show one time each episode, I forget this guy other than being in with the Lannister army with Arya, maybe doing some work. This is like a foggy memory. And then being hunted down because he's Robert Baratheon's bastard, and then linking up with the Brotherhood of Banners, and then with the Red Queen. Like, I remember bits and pieces of that shit, but afterwards he meets up with Jon, and I get it. It's supposed to be a callback to when, you know, Jon's father or stepfather, however that works, his stepfather Ned, or replacement father, however you want to call it, met up in season 1 with Robert Baratheon after a few years, or at least our first introduction, and Robert Baratheon was his bastard father. You know, I understand that callback, but then some people are saying some shit that I guess I should have already known, which I didn't know. All right, I get it that Jon Snow is the nephew to Dany. I get that, right? But people are saying that, and I guess I'm supposed to understand this already. Maybe this is where I fucked up. But Robert Baratheon is not actually the father of Gentry. Listen, I'm being straight up honest. I know some reviewers, and this is different. I am a fan talking about a show I like. When it comes to The Walking Dead, listen, I got you. I'll fucking run circles. But when it comes to the Game of Thrones, I'm just some idiot who watches it for the first time. I did not know I was supposed to know that he wasn't really Robert Baratheon's son. He was someone else's son who's also like involved with prophecies and shit. Some people I don't know if people are fucking with me and confusing me or what. Is that true? Like, what is that about? I thought he was legit Robert Baratheon's bastard. But then some people are telling me that his dad was a Targaryen with a hammer. I don't know. I'm fucking lost. I gotta look into that, because I get it that the Mad King had, I wrote them down, Rhaegar, Viserys, and Dany. So there was the Mad King that Jaime killed, Rhaegar, Viserys, and Dany. Viserys and Dany. Viserys died in season 1. Dany's still alive. And then Rhaegar got with Lyanna Stark, and then they had Jon Snow. So that's how that's all related. But when it comes to the Gentry guy, I am confused like a son of a bitch. Anyway, let's get to the King of the North should have stayed in the North stuff with Lady Stark. She's a good enemy for the future. Let's put it that way. You know, I was hoping that we wouldn't have this conflict with the siblings, but I don't know. Sansa just even playing with it. She should have came straight out and said, you know what? I agree with Arya 100%. Sansa should have came out and said, you know what? This king is risking his life right now to fight for us. Don't you ever. I mean, you guys wanted him to be your king, and now he's gone getting shit done. And you're going to be some bit like, she came off as, I'm going to play this situation, just like Littlefinger probably, most likely, because Littlefinger advised her, opened her mind to play in this situation to see all the different possible outcomes. Like, she doesn't want to commit 100% to Jon, because if she can use it in her favor to get these people to back her, I don't know. That's what I got out of it, and I'm really pissed if Arya actually gets fooled by Littlefinger. I don't know. That would piss me off. I feel like this is going to blow up in Littlefinger's face, and I can't wait. As far as Sansa, though, she either commits and she's loyal to her family, and I mean loyal 100%, or she's one of the new enemies. I want her gone and dealt with and done. She doesn't even have any superpowers. All right, get rid of her. She's an embarrassment as a Stark. Moving on, we got I already covered Sansa. Cersei with the Prego, I already talked about that. Gendry and Jon, I already talked about that. With the High Scepter, the Rhaegar, Arya and Littlefinger, and Tommen. Yeah, is the woman coming? The big woman? I love that. I don't know what it is about Tommen and Tormund. Oh my god, Tommen. What am I talking about? Yeah, let's call him the wildling. That's either, what's his name? Tormund, right? The big ginger asking about Brienne. I love that. I want to see more of those two on screen together. I think they got some good chemistry just for the simple fact that he is so blunt yet interested, yet kind of like it is what it is. And she has, what is that? What is that? Is that slime? Get that out of here. She has this no-nonsense-ness about her. So they go off to fight the, or not fight, but bring back a specimen. And I'm excited. Like I said, don't go looking around. It's Tormund. It is, isn't it? Why would I call him Tommen? Tommen is that little wuss of a king. So they're going off to get a specimen. I'm real hyped. Everyone who watched it already, because of fucking AMC, they're all saying that it's a perfect episode, and I can't wait. Like I said, be careful down in the comment box, and I'm going to be really excited to come back and talk about the next episode with you guys. So, if you want to clarify some things, please leave those down in the comment box, but be careful of any spoilers. And if you have any questions as well about Gendry and all those, leave those down in the comment box, and maybe we'll pull some together, and we'll be able to answer some of those based off of some comments from the people who do know what's going on.